Hello, welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper, and this is the first video of 2025, our first real video. We did a video on the first, kind of announcing the store on the Topper Machine website. So we do have some products on there. I'm going to be adding stuff as we go. Right now, I'm still waiting on a few things that are on there. They're coming. The shipping was just delayed a little bit, I'm thinking because of the holidays. So those of you who purchased a coffee cup or a hat, they're coming. We're adding the anchor lube soon. And we're working on some shipping issues, so things are in the process. We're getting things kind of rolling, so bear with us. There's a few problems there that we're just working through, but as things go, we're going to add more stuff. Now, the first video of the year, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to take you through and show you a bunch of fixtures that I've made over the years for different jobs and kind of explain how they were made, why they were made, and what their purpose was. But first, let's take a look at something that's missing. That is where the planer mill sat. So a lot has been happening here in the shop. I've been doing some cleaning, organizing, moving things around, and trying to make things better since business has really dried up. I haven't had hardly a single job come in the month of December, so I spent it just trying to kind of sort through, go through, been getting rid of a bunch of stuff, been moving stuff around, making things better. I got a lot of cleaning to do yet, but we're just working through this slowly and trying to figure out the best layout for me. So let's go check out where the planer is. So those of you who've been following the channel saw there was a Bridgeport here and a Bridgeport back there. Because things have slowed down so much, I decided to sell the second Bridgeport, so I sold that to my friend Randy. And he's got that. He's putting that together in his shop, just a little hobby shop of his. So that's where the second Bridgeport went. The first one went over where, let's see, the little Monarch used to be over there. But the planer mill, we moved that in here. So this is a much better spot. If I need to, I can still get in at it from over by the Lion there with the forklift. I got really good lighting here. The height is not an issue. Just all around, this is a better spot. Because this is a kind of a smaller machine, it just fits in here nicely. I moved the Cincinnati just a little bit, but I also, well, I moved it quite a bit, stripped the concrete, and then resealed the concrete, and then put the Cincinnati back, because this thing likes to leak a little bit of oil. So that's where this is moved, I'd say 8-10 inches at the most, but still a very good spot. And while I'm working on the Cincinnati, if I have nothing going, I can just set my parts behind me on the planer mill. So that works out great. I might redo everything back here, put up more shelving, just for all the measuring tools and that kind of miscellaneous stuff. We'll see how that goes. And so you've seen a few videos since I've had the Bridgeport over here. I moved this again, probably another foot this way to give me more space out this way for long pieces, but I've also got the clearance going that way for long pieces. So it's a good spot, a better spot, and it's close to the Monarch lathe, so I could be doing long cuts on the lathe, be over here drilling something, or I could turn around, do something here and turn around and have long cuts there and turn around and do something on the Monarch. So it just, the flow is better for me, and I can still get in here with the forklift from the Lion lathe. So I can bring a pallet of parts right over if I need to. And nothing much has really changed over here where the slaughter is, and the radial drill, that hasn't moved. The AV sensitive drill has not moved, but the shaper is sitting here on skates waiting to go to its new home. And I'm really hoping we can get that out of here this summer. One of my viewers really wants it, and I'm kind of setting it out aside for him. But I'm out of room, so really soon here it's going to get not Cosmoline, but a good protective oil on everything, get wrapped up and put outside, which is something I am 100% against, but again, I'm hurting for room. I just need to get stuff out of here. So we'll be moving this outside, and hopefully they'll go to a new home here early this spring, early summer, and I'm really kind of excited for him to get it because it's going kind of back close to its original home where it came from. So that's really cool. So Don, if you're watching, let's get this thing to you as quickly as possible. Okay, so on to the shop-made fixtures and tools, and I've got this one here. This is the first one I want to go over. It was a very good tool, worked really well for a lot of years for what I was doing for this customer, and I even have the drawing that goes with it. So I'll bring you in and show you that. So I'm hoping you can see this well, and I got my sticker, which is for sale in the Shopify store also, but covering the name of the guilty. And I say that because this owner ran this company right into the ground. 150-year of history, and he destroyed it. But anyway, this part is 4.5 inches long. This hole is 2 inches off this end, and it is drilled through offset. It's 3/4 inch hole for a pin, and then it's got this bore that is, we actually tightened it up. I remember we went to 2 thou to 4 thou over 3 inch from 5 to 8. So we redevised it. And this is just one variant of this part. It's 5-inch diameter, 1045. And this cross hole's for a pin that holds in a shaft that goes in here. There's, like I said, 2 variants of it. One had splines and one did not. So the splined one, I had a local shop that was doing all my spline work, and he went out of business a few years ago. And actually this was just after we quit doing this job. This customer basically went out of business. So this fixture, you take that 5-inch round, and I would face both ends and then slide it in there, and it butts up to the shoulder in here. You see how well you can see that. And then you just take 2 big C-clamps, or, you know, I had a couple different clamping methods over the years that I figured out. This was clamped to the table on the radial drill, and that is a drill bushing, a 3/4 inch drill bushing, kind of long one. And that would guide that drill perfectly, and you just had to very slowly start it, light feed, until you got it into solid material, because you're coming in on the angle. And so you just work it in slowly until it starts, and that bushing was so close that it worked out well to really hold it in place. And then you could just bore right through once you got it up there. I ran the flood coolant on the radial drill, and that was the first step. So you got that drilled out, and then you just popped it out of there, and I took it over to the turret lathe with flood coolant and spade drills, and then roughed out the bore. So I just bored it undersized, then it went to the lathe, and it got bored to size. The splined one, it got bored to the diameter needed for the splines to start, and then I took it to my partner shop, and he splined them for me, and then they went to the customer, and we did a lot of these. So as I said earlier in the video, we're doing a lot of cleaning and organizing. This customer is long gone. They've been gone, I think 2 years now, and so it's time to let this fixture go, because obviously there's no need for it anymore. Okay, so here is the next fixture. So this was the sample part the customer gave me, and I spec'd this all out, even part number on there, and figured out what all I needed. And then to ensure the placement of these tabs that get welded on, I made this bar. And so what I would do is I would make these tabs first, just bar stock, drill them, bolt them on, and they fit in there nice and snug so they can't move side to side, twist. And then set this guy on there, and I can't remember how I did the final spacing on that. I think it was just a line it up with the edge, because this really didn't matter. What this is there was a threaded rod that went in here as a tensioner, so the placement this way didn't matter, but this spacing did. So this is all this was the welding fixture to get that exact placement. Unfortunately, this is one of the customers that just closed up and liquidated everything, so this work is all gone. So all right, so what we have here is a press brake die that I made for another customer, and this is kind of a neat one. So what it was is I had to bend a bunch of aluminum hinge, short little hinges, and I think I had a drilling fixture for this as well, but the barrel of the hinge sat here, and then when you bent it, it got this little bend to it, kind of just a little shape like that. And it worked great. I did several of these, a lot of these. They paid for the tooling, and we ran a lot of these things. And unfortunately, this is another customer that has gone out of business in this region and is just no more doing any of this kind of work. So all right, so this one is kind of an interesting one in itself too. This was set up for turning a end disc for a drive hub on an ASV skid steer. And I was doing quite a few of these, so this worked out perfect. They got a flange on the cover, and there's a shaft stub that sticks out of that cover. There's a bearing on there, and that bearing always goes bad, so we were always building that back up and remachining it down. So I made this fixture to chuck up in the lathe, and either 3-jaw or 4-jaw, you can chuck it up, put the plate on there, bolt it on with the 2 bolts. It's all it took, and you were dead nuts on center. It worked great. You could just turn that weld back down, put the snap ring groove in, and that was done. It worked out amazing. Now, this job was not a steady job. It happened quite a bit. So if you have an ASV skid steer with this problem, send me your end caps. I'm keeping this fixture. It'll go right back on the shelf. All right, so here is another great example of a fixture for holding something that's just weird. This guy, and it's been on the shelf for a lot of years, you'd reverse the jaws on your 3-jaw or 4-jaw, whatever you wanted to hold it with. I was using the 4-jaw just to get the accuracy. Dial it in on this surface and make sure she was flush on this surface. And you could always take a light skim cut here if need be. And then you put the part on and sandwich it in with these bolts. So I had extra holes on here because there was, I think I had it set up for a different fixture yet besides. So I think the bolt pattern's a little different, but that doesn't matter. I think there was a different base. So, but this worked great because you would sandwich that part on the running surface. It was a big pulley is what it was. And you would sandwich it on the running surface, the bearing surface of that pulley, clamp it there, and then you could work the OD of the pulley because it was holding, it was locked in, it was clamped so it wouldn't spin, it was held true because of the running surfaces. You know, the bearing surface was up against this step and the outer surface was true and up against this step, so it ran perfect. This one, I haven't done this job in a very long time, so all right, this one is a really neat one. It looks like a plug. It's threaded, got a hex on it. It looks like a plug. What it is a fixture for drilling drive pin holes in a lock ring. So I made this lock ring complete. It had internal threads to match these, and then you'd make the whole ring and then screw this in, take it over to the Bridgeport, and set it in the vise. And this is how you located your 6 drive holes all the way around. So you just set it in the vise, drill it, set it in the vise, drill it. That's simple. Very effective. This actually is now an obsolete part. They've replaced all this equipment with something new, so we don't need this one anymore either. All right, this one's another interesting one. This was actually a test gauge to ensure that I had the slots 180 degrees apart. And what this was a hub with a 2-inch bore and 2 slots on either side of it that had there was a shaft that rode in it with guide pins, but it was a much smaller shaft, so I really over-checked it as far as squareness, but that was all it was for, was to slide it in and ensure that I had them slots cut in there correctly, and I did that all on the shaper, the vertical shaper, the slotter. So worked out amazing, but this was a one-time job. All right, this one's a really cool one. This was a neat little project that I did for a customer, and check that out. Angles milled all the way around. It's just like a little wear button is what it was, and it was a one-time deal, never to be done again, but I kept it all because who knows, maybe this would come around again. That was 8 years ago. But I kept it all together, and all I did was clamp this thing in the Bridgeport vise at a set spot. I tipped the head on the Bridgeport, and then this clamp, you just slip it in there. You got your stop in the back, and tighten it down, and then feed across it. Real simple. So you feed across it, turn it, mill it, turn it, mill it, turn it, mill it. Super simple, super effective. And just another simple little fixture that anybody could build to do this kind of stuff. And as you can see, I had a little spacer in here just held in with splicing tape. I just squeezed it down. That's been on there a very long time. So just a neat little fixture. I don't know, I'm gonna keep this one just in case. I'll talk to that customer if they're still even using this kind of equipment. They may not even be using this stuff, so that might be just a dumpster fixture also. I'll keep the clamp, but. So while we're on the concept of house cleaning here, I'm going to show you guys this thing. This is a custom chain link. So we made all this, and the chain goes in here, and then you got the other end of the chain there where they just took the link apart like this, and that would go over this shaft, and it had like a pitman arm on it, and we designed that all up, built that, and you know, the original sample they gave me wasn't great. We made some design changes to make it better. That's the part of the original that was wore out. So there's a bearing, seal that rides here, a bearing there, snap ring. Redesigned it all a little bit, made several of them, and I don't think they use them anymore. So now that we're talking about shop-made fixtures and stuff, these are them angle plates that I made years ago, and then I did a video milling them last year, milling them true and getting them beautiful, and they came out nice. These are the big ones I made, and I actually have bought some big ones since that are a lot better, but we're gonna keep those. They're a good size. But I've got this one up here that I built years ago, and I never finished it. Always was planning on milling this guy. We're gonna do that in an upcoming video. I don't know when, but we'll get to that. So we gotta mill the base and mill the face here. And the whole point to this, it's drilled and tapped holes for, you know, bolting whatever on that I need to bolt on. But also I have a very large vise, a very large vise. And in fact, let's go look at it. All right, so this big vise is hiding over here, and if you notice the sound change, my microphone battery died. I had to go grab the other one. But there it is. I believe this is a 10-inch. I believe it's a shaper vise, and it's on a swivel base. This is gonna be an awesome vise on the boring mill. I just gotta get that angle plate finished and get it up there. So definitely something I wanna get done. And as I was mentioning earlier about different angle plates, this blue guy here is 4 foot by 3 foot by 18 inches this way. I picked that up from a friend here a year or two ago and still haven't used it. And then these I bought on my friend John's auction. These are a nice size too, so I'm very happy to have those. These are in much better shape than the ones I made, you know, a lot heavier duty. So these would be perfect for just about anything I'm gonna do. But I'm still gonna keep my other ones. You know, and while I'm back here at the slaughter, if you remember back, I did a full video on this, of building this guy, this tool holder, and of building the tool. So check those out. There's several videos on this machine and all the the stuff I've made for it to do the jobs, because when I bought this, there was nothing with it. So doing everything all the stuff I do with it, I've had to make all of my own tooling. So it's definitely a lot of neat videos on this machine alone, this slaughter. So, and there is the original tool holder down there. I had to make this one because it was shorter, which would give me more stroke for some of the parts I was doing. So that's why I made that holder. And then the tool itself with the bolt-in Morrison key seat cutters. So pretty awesome setup there, and I got some great videos on making those. So before we end the video, I've got one last thing to show you guys, and I'm not very proud of it. It was something I built many years ago when I was first starting out and didn't have money, and I needed something, so I built it. And it worked great. It's ugly. It's not pretty at all. I mean, it's horrific, really. But let me show you. So this is a vise that I made, and if it weren't for all the chips in there, it would actually work. So this was all done. This is a piece of 1/2-inch plate. This is inch thick hot rolled here, inch thick hot rolled there. The jaws are milled in and then screwed on, and actually I've got 2 extras that I can show you here that are unmilled and never been installed, and they just bolt through from the back. These got a step in them, as you can see right here, a step for holding whatever, and I made it big enough that it would hold a big part. And it's an Acme screw, milled a square on there for use with a wrench, and it works great. This is just, I believe, 1-inch drill rod, so I think it's A2 tool steel, but I mean, great stuff. And these holes were all reamed to alignment. I mean, just perfect. This thing works great. It's just ugly as snot. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't used it since I've gotten better stuff. But it still works great. I want to throw it in the scrap dumpster, I really do. But maybe I should hang on to it. If anybody's interested in it, I'd let it go. Maybe I'll just take this to Premier Auction and just see if they can sell it. Might be worthwhile to somebody. Well, I hope this video was entertaining and enlightening to you all that are in this industry and trying to figure out how to hold things and make things work. All these fixtures that I've built over the years, all these things have served a purpose, and they've paid for themselves, obviously. Throwing them in the dumpster, I don't feel bad about. What I feel bad about is the lost jobs from these customers going out of business. Like I said, last year, the last 5 months of last year, I lost 60% of my business. That was 4 good-sized customers closing up and full liquidation, closure of everything. Lots of jobs lost in this region, and that was just my customers. There's been so much manufacturing here in northern Wisconsin going out of business. I just heard about Barco Hydraulics in Superior. They're done for up there. Leinenkugel's Brewery, no more Leinenkugel's beer out of Chippewa Falls. Lots of jobs lost there. And now Leinie's will never taste right again. So very sad here in northern Wisconsin, and unfortunately I don't see the infrastructure ever coming back. It's all gone. It's not great. So here I am again begging you all, share the word that Topper Machine exists. We're willing to take on jobs. Shipping isn't really an issue. Help me out, help grow the shop, keep us in business. Like I said, things are tough here. I'm gonna keep trucking along, working through it, trying to get through and see if we can't keep this going long term. I got a backup plan in place if not, but we're gonna keep doing the best we can. So stay tuned to the channel also. We're gonna be working on making those pin jaws to sell in the store, and we're gonna be doing some repairs on equipment since there isn't a lot of work coming in. As there's work coming in, we'll try to film that if it's something I can film. And again, I hope you learned something from this video. You saw some really neat possibilities for yourself for holding jobs and indicating jobs and things like that. Just get creative with your work holding and your tool holding. You know, that's what it's all about. All of these jobs have a solution. You just got to come up with it. So with that, we'll see you on the next video.